Greetings and welcome to step 13 on our Awakening in 30 Steps. Today's contemplation is on the defects of samsara, which engenders a sense of distaste, disinterest, or dispassion with a compulsive life. Now, we're going to have a lot of fun with today's little post because it's on the characteristics, the hallmarks of such a suffering life. Oh, those Buddhists, they're so good. They're so good with their suffering, lists of suffering, as if any of us need any more lists on suffering. Okay, but in all seriousness, what they're really trying to do is help us see that ordinary life that is driven by stress instincts, laden with trauma, basically a life of blindness, of unawareness, of mindlessness, of unconsciousness, is, as Socrates said, not worth living. And the Buddhists go one further and say, take a good look at your life and you'll see that the life of blindness, the mindless life, is characterized by different variations of suffering. It's not all that pleasant. It's not all what it's chalked up to be. Now, it's not saying life is meaningless, life is suffering. It's saying the unconscious life, the life of numbness, the life of blindness, the life of delusion, which leads to the chain reaction, which leads to misery. And so they're not just trying to create a poo-poo party. They're trying to alert us to wake up. That's the path of the gradual awakening. It's the intention of the spiritual life, is to wake up from the nightmare. So one way to wake up from the nightmare is just to get very clear that our predicament, our current circumstance, our state of mind is suboptimal. And not just to leave us there, but to motivate us to what's called renounce samsara, which is our next post. To renounce samsara is predicated on an inventory of all the ways it ain't working out for us. And so there are many lists, inspiring lists on suffering. The Buddhists offer us one of 3 types of suffering, one of 6 types of suffering, one of 8 types of suffering, and one of 10 types of suffering. So I thought today we would just go for the list of 6. 6 types of suffering that if we take a healthy inventory and juice press, really contemplate, not avert our attention, not numb out, not zone out, not look for the silver lining, courageous, honest inventory, and juice press, what will inevitably arise is a natural or organic sense of strong renunciation, not wanting to live this way anymore. So the list of 6 types of suffering begin with the sense that nothing is certain. Second one, can't get no satisfaction. Third one, that we have to die. Fourth one, we have to be reborn. Fifth one, the vicissitudes of experience. And the 6th one of being alone. Being alone. First one, the uncertainty of life really has to do with our prior post on karma. Because karma is cause and effect, and the effect is the mystery. When exactly will the conditions ripen in such a way to allow the seed to come to full fruition? So if I plant a seed in the earth, I don't exactly know when it's going to ripen. I know that if the causes and conditions are there, it will ripen, that karma is definite, but the exact time of a ripening effect is unknown. And so life creates, a compulsive life is enormously uncertain. You just never know when you're going to step on a landmine and boom, your karma will fire. Never know. All conditions could appear one way, and then how often is it that we get so-called triggered when we least expect it? And that can send us off into a tirade, it can send us off into a pit of anger, it can send us off into a pit of despair. We can be with loved ones, we can be in a wonderful situation. You just never really know. And of course, not knowing is one of the deepest, most primal fears. We seek certainty, and yet we can't find any. So the reflection here is just look honestly in your life at all the places where you're looking for certainty so that you know you can find ground the next day. Look at what the pandemic did. My God, did that just shake up reality and in a way shatter any denials or delusions about our fantasy of how things should be. Even the most so-called advanced nations or most developed nations paralyzed, didn't know how to deal with the situation, didn't know what hit us, crippled us, and all within a blink of the eye. The world forever changed. So you just never know, and if you never know, maybe you're on high alert, maybe you're never quite all that comfortable. Second one is that you can't get no satisfaction. Whenever I think about this post, I think about the Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, can't get no satisfaction. And isn't it true? We can spend our lives following the siren song of commercialism and consumerism and capitalism and the thin waistline and the big payday and the six-figure contract and the fans on Facebook and the accolades and the attributes, and then it's when we get there, just as we get there, it's never enough. It's never enough. We're constantly yearning. So the juice press here, just be honest. What are you chasing? I mean, I just finished the 2-year program. Before that, I just finished my book. Before that, I finished the 4-year program. Before that, my PhD. What ladder are you on? What are you chasing when you finally meet or reach a threshold or milestone? How long does the satisfaction last before the emptiness reappears? Third one, we have to die. Now, you can look at it either as the real death in this life or just the metaphoric deaths are enough, are substantial enough in this contemplation. The life, the compulsive life, the life of blindness, means that we're steadily moving along in our life, and then the rug is pulled out from underneath us, and our identity absolutely crumbles. Somebody really dies, we lose our job, we lose our health, we lose our status, we lose whatever we've been building up our ego around, a constellation of comfort and familiarity and security and identity, only to have the rug pulled out. And then how painful, how terrifying it is to lose in the flow of impermanence leading to death. How very terrifying and painful it is. So here the juice press is, think about the last time that you hit one of those milestones in the human odyssey where you lost everything, including your sense of self. How disorienting, how terrifying. And maybe, those of us that have 40, 50, 60 years, maybe we've gone through that twice or 3 times already. Fourth contemplation is on the rebirth. Well, following the death, then think about all the effort, pain, struggle, confusion, exhaustion of rebuilding yourself anew. Once you fall apart, you have to reconstruct yourself, look for ground again, create a new community, find a new job, create a new home, find a new relationship, but mostly the subtle one is create a new identity, form a new identity, one that whose agenda or purpose is to keep you safe and buttressed in the face of inevitable demise, in the face of impermanence, to create enough consistency and continuity in the face of impermanence. You know what it is? It's like building sandcastles at the shoreline. Like little kids building sandcastles, the waves come in, knock them down. That's the death contemplation. Then you build them again. That's the rebirth contemplation. Then the waves come in, the tide comes in, down they go, then up again. Wow. For beginningless time. For beginningless time. The fifth contemplation is on the vicissitudes of life, the up and down and up and down. I call this the roller coaster. I mean, I don't know about you, but my roller coaster with 2 kids in lockdown, in the pandemic, I mean, if the kids' school calls and they're going remote on the dime, the emotions around the household about how to organize our lives and our work schedules and the kids' schedules and the nanny schedules and this and that. And then it goes up and you think, okay, now can we take a deep breath? Can we breathe now? Do we know what's going to happen tomorrow? And then boom, something else happens, and down and up and down. Of course, that's a metaphoric one, and then they like to throw in the 6 realms of existence in the long cosmological roller coaster ride of eons of ascension to the God realm, which is then just followed in a single day, one stroke of circumstance, and down you go into the hell realms and tormented for eons, and then you never know when you're going to finally make it back to the human realm. But what you do know is the ride is bumpy. The ride is bumpy. The vicissitudes are exhausting. So juice press your own vicissitudes. Oh, I finally got where I wanted. Oh, no, it didn't work out. Finally, what's around the corner? What's on the next valley? Oh, I've made it. Oh no, there's another valley to climb, another peak to climb. Final one is the sense of being alone. And even alone amongst friends, the way they describe it is that even though you can be well-liked, surrounded by friends and family, connected on Instagram, no one truly knows your own mind. No one truly knows your own mind. They like to, it's almost like they're saying, we can be so close and yet so far. We can be so close and yet so far away. And that's worth juice pressing too, that in our state of blindness, in our state of compulsivity, a delusion, the samsaric life is characterized by a sense of fundamentally being alone. So there they are, sobering reflections. Nobody who's doing the gradual path and that has made it this far, that's invested, is going to give in to their urge to turn it off, because this is like a peek beyond the veil, an honest look about what's under the hood of a compulsive life. We can't find any certainty. We can't find any satisfaction. We have to experience death, either metaphorically or the real death. We have to experience rebirth, the metaphoric and the literal. We have to experience the roller coaster ride of the vicissitudes of an ever-changing landscape. And fundamentally, we are all alone. Do me a favor and just take a few minutes, even just choose one, and do an authentic juice press on it, a real reflection, a sobering analysis, so that you come to some firm conviction that you don't want to live this way anymore. That all that glitters is not gold. The hedonic life is not what it's cracked up to be. And we'll do more reflection on the next point, but that's enough for right now. Point 13, the defects of samsara, which engenders a sense of detachment or distaste or disinterest. All best wishes.